seats. This will not take long this morning. First, I'm going to go to the IT. Who's on WebEx?
Jordan Mahallahan, Matt Sterling, Michelle Segan, Mike Hauser, Eric Smith, Samantha Potter, Steve Howe.
Thank you. Well, one, we're not working any bills today. So that's a good thing. But a couple of things I thought I needed to bring to your attention. Because I got asked about them by leadership. Yesterday, we had a House concurrent resolution that was sponsored by about 15, 20 different representatives of both parties. There was no discussion, and it was voted down. They asked me why. I don't know why. I didn't really come out for it or against it. I just want to let the committee work. And they thought that was a little disappointing. So, well, the good thing about it is in committee, and at some time it may be brought back out. But you have to explain to the sponsors of that bill or that House concurrent resolution why you voted against it. Because that's what I've encouraged those people who sponsored it to come to you and see why that you would vote against it, especially when there was no discussion. I'm going to move right along, then I'm going to come back to you. And then we're going to talk about next week. I had to move the agenda around this week. We had 2 bills scheduled. I want to assure both those members that we're going to hear this at some point in time. I'm on a tight schedule. We have a number of days left. We're going to be taking up the Senate bill on sportsbook on Thursday. We'll be hearing bills tomorrow and Thursday. And tomorrow, I think we have 3 or 4 bills set. So we'll take those up. We will not work those at this time. Thursday, we'll be taking up the Senate bill. Connie will be sending you all the testimony that was heard in the Senate side. The Senate did this hearing in less than 50 minutes because their committee meetings are 50 minutes long. I don't think it will take more than that, but it might. But I'm going to try to keep it at 50 minutes. Then we will be working bills on Friday. I anticipate working the House version of the sports book bill on Friday and possibly Monday. And then we're going to take some time and work the marijuana bill. For those that have amendments, you don't have to run them by me, but it is a courtesy that I normally expect from you. And I would ask that you, if you have amendments to any of these bills, to keep them in a minimum. I've heard rumors from the reviser that we could have, well, a ton of amendments. We'll work through those. I would rather have less than more. And Matt, at this time, I'm going to ask you what we talked about earlier about how I think we should handle that about the pause.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yes, committee, if you do have amendments for either 2184 or 2199, please get them to me and know that I keep them in strict confidence. I will not tell anybody about them. However, if you want me to share them with someone, please do indicate that to me, as the chairman indicated, because I don't share them with him unless you let me know that you want me to. So just an FYI, so you know what the expectation is. As far as proceeding on the medical marijuana bill, the chairman and I talked, and what we may do is after the committee works the bill, makes perhaps some significant changes to the bill, I would plan on drafting an updated version of the draft to then distribute to the committee, allowing everyone to see the changes that have been made as the committee works through their process. And the chairman indicated having kind of a pause so that people have time to review those changes, kind of understand how the way the committee has changed the bill and then take further action. So everybody is in complete understanding of the changes that have been made and try to minimize confusion.
Any questions for Matt from the committee? Yes. Is that a question for me, or is it a question for the supervisor? Oh, sorry, Vic. I thought you'd raise your hand. Okay. And I'm doing that because I want you to understand. I mean, we have a number of amendments attached. Certain things get struck, other things get put in, and I think it's good that give Matt an opportunity, and we all need to thank Matt because he's going to be overwhelmed to get something that we can look at and say, okay, what was this portion? Well, that was struck in amendment number 3, and so that it may no longer be there. So I think it will help the members to be able to take the pause, have Matt update us to where we're at, and see where we want to go. I think I know these bills better than most because I've had them from day one, especially the Ports book, because that's the one I worked on with Senator Estes. I know what can go and what can't go. And I just had a meeting with Senator Alley, and he understands, and I explained to him what my process was. And we expect to meet each other in conference at some point in time. But that's kind of where I'm looking at where we're going. I have no objection, of course, to offering amendments, but on many of those amendments, I will have an opinion. And I will tell you, as a committee, I think this is a good amendment, or I think this is a bad amendment. You can follow my lead or not. I would encourage you to do so and ask that you do that. But my objective is to get it out, get it across the floor of the House, get it in the conference committee, and then come back with a conference committee report. You review that, and it's an up or down vote. And I never tell anyone how to vote on the floor of the House. I will encourage people in committee to get things out, how they should vote, but that's entirely up to you. You know, it is an honor to be on Fed and State Affairs. I think I'm the second longest member on this committee. I've chaired it for 6 years. Mike Hauser's been on it since I was in grade school. And unfortunately, he's not here. And not really, because we came in together. But he's been on it, I think, 8 years. This is his 9th year. So it is an honor. It is a controversial committee. I try to keep the controversy down to a minimum. On occasion, we're always going to have that. But it's never personal. It's always political. So I just wanted to explain where we're at, how we're going to go forward. I think we can hear the 3 or 4 bills tomorrow and get those out, but they'll not be worked until next week. The Senate version, I think I mentioned, Connie, you're going to send that out tomorrow? All the testimony from the Senate or Thursday? Okay. We'll get that out if you want to review that, because they did it in a short period of time. I anticipate doing it in a short period of time. I don't know how many conferees we've got yet, but based upon the conferees, I'll have to limit folks that are appearing 3 to 5 minutes. But I'm sorry, Representative, I didn't forget you. You have a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, it wasn't a question. It was just in response to your statement that we had no discussion yesterday on that concurrent resolution. I vividly remember some very powerful remarks in opposition, both by Representative Hoy and Representative Howe. So there was discussion before the vote.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you for that correction. When you get my age, Vic, sometimes your recent memory fades.
Yeah, that's a ways away.
It is. For others, the fine representative who used to be the municipal judge in Topeka, Kansas. We used to see each other at judges' conferences long, long ago. And so I've got a lot of respect for him. Anyways, anything else for the good of this committee? I told you it would be short this morning. Yes. Oh, yes, I'm going to talk to the ranking member, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the members of my caucus, if you have any substantive amendments that you want to put on bills, run them by me, and let's talk about them, and we can get the committee together and kind of discuss strategies. We have some pretty important issues coming up in the next couple of weeks because we are getting short on time. The two hearings that we were looking for this Friday have been moved, and the chairman has promised that he will get those bills heard, or the hearings. And so we're looking for good conversations and good response and hard work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I'm looking to go on a conference with my ranking member. He's a great negotiator and brings out points that sometimes I don't think about. And so at conference committee, I would of course encourage you to come to conference committee. I talked to Senator Alley today. He's sending us over a couple of Senate alcohol bills. He's also, I encouraged him to work our House bills, and he's assured me that he will, of course, put the Senate touch on them and then send them back to us. And I think his remarks will make them perfect, as if the Senate ever makes anything perfect. But anyways, you know, we've got a good rapport with our Senate colleagues in the House and Fed and State. So the last, couple of weeks here, we're going to be busy, and it'll be a combination of working bills, hearing bills, trying to get bills out, get them on the floor, any questions or clarifications that I've made of any of the committee members? I want to thank you for coming in. I want to thank you for working really hard this session. I would hope that we all would make it back here next year, and we'll have another good year. So the bills that we do not work this year, remember, will stay on the calendar, will stay in committee, and we will have an opportunity to hear those next year. Of course, we'll get more bills, but it is a 2-year cycle. If you'll notice, for the freshmen, the calendar was struck last week because of turnaround, but those bills do not go away. They are still live bills. They just can't be worked this session. So they'll come back in January. With that, if there's no questions or clarifications, I want to thank you for coming in today. Anything for the good of the committee? Dr. Epley, Representative Epley, has been working on several amendments. And Doc, or Representative, would you just you had a meeting of some type, I believe.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and nothing behind closed doors, just to be in the light of day. I'm just trying to vet out all the amendments that we possibly can so that we can maybe parse them down and consolidate them and make this process on House Bill 2184 a little more free-flowing, maybe a little more efficient, a little smoother for you, Mr. Chairman. And I thought we had, good discussion, good education last night. And in light of Coma-Cora, we can't all be a part of that, and we have to be careful, respectful of numbers and what information is shared. And that's just a process that I'm going through for myself. I don't plan on bringing hardly any amendments myself. I'm trying to help others get things organized. That's all on your behalf, and I think enough said. Thank you.
I'm very appreciative of that. I have people in my office every day on different issues. And if you can filter those out and then bring them to me at some point in time, I'd greatly appreciate that. And if there's other amendments, would you want them to, if they choose to, bring them to you, or do you want them to bring them directly to me?
I'm happy to run interference, Mr. Chairman, on this particular bill, as I take a lot of involvement with it early on, and I'll work at your advice, but I would be happy. I've met with several of the stakeholders already. I'm happy to meet with more. I've got a meeting set up, and I'm going to have another one set up. So At your leisure, it's your choice.
I'll leave it up to the members if they want to visit with, at least you would know if there is a conflicting amendment. I've had a number of amendments sent to me. I've reviewed them. But, I focus primarily on one issue at a time, and I'm trying, the main issue with my leadership, the House leadership, is the sports book. After that, then I'll be more concentrated on the House bill that you mentioned. But if anybody wants to bring their amendments to you, I have no objections to that. It's up to the individual member. But with that, if there's nothing else,